Your 20s are basically financial quicksand. You're standing there watching everyone around you buy expensive cars they can't afford, taking out student loans for degrees that might land them a job at Starbucks, and somehow convincing themselves that avocado toast is a reasonable breakfast expense. Meanwhile, you're probably wondering if you should be doing something different with your money, or if you're destined to join the ranks of people who complain about being broke while simultaneously ordering DoorDash 3 times a week. Here's something that might shock you. The purchases you make in your 20s will determine whether you spend your 30s building wealth or still living paycheck to paycheck like some sort of financial groundhog day. Most people get this completely backwards. They think their 20s are for spending money on experiences and stuff, and their 30s are for getting serious about money. That's like saying you'll start training for a marathon the day before the race. My name is Nick, and I've spent way too much time analyzing why some people escape the financial hamster wheel, while others run on it their entire lives. If you're tired of watching your bank account balance hover around the same depressing number month after month, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button, because today we're going to talk about 7 purchases that can literally change the trajectory of your entire financial future. Now, before we dive into these 7 game-changing purchases, let me be crystal clear about something. I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice. These are lessons I've learned from watching people succeed and fail with money, including my own experiences of making both smart moves and spectacularly dumb ones. What I'm sharing with you today are the purchases that consistently show up in the lives of people who achieve financial independence while they're still young enough to enjoy it. The reality is, most people approach their 20s completely backwards. They think this is the time to live it up, spend everything they earn, and worry about money later. But the people who understand compound interest know that your 20s are actually when small, smart decisions create massive results down the road. $100 invested wisely at 25 becomes thousands at 50. $100 spent on something that depreciates becomes nothing but a faded memory and maybe some debt. So let's start with purchase number 1, and this might surprise you because it's not something you buy once and forget about. It's an investment in a side hustle. Now, I know what you're thinking, Nick, a side hustle isn't really a purchase, but hear me out, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think side hustles are free, but the most successful ones require some upfront investment to get started properly. Whether it's buying equipment for photography, investing in a website domain and hosting, purchasing tools for a service business, or even just buying books and courses to learn a valuable skill, starting a side hustle almost always requires putting some money down first. And in your 20s, this might be the single best investment you can make, because it has the potential to completely change your financial trajectory faster than anything else. The beautiful thing about side hustles in your 20s is that you probably don't have a mortgage, kids, or a bunch of other financial obligations weighing you down. You can take risks and try things that might not work out. If you fail, you can bounce back quickly, but if you succeed, you might never have to worry about money again. Here's what most people miss about side hustles though. They try to start something completely outside their wheelhouse instead of building on their existing strengths. If you're naturally good with cars, start there. If you understand websites and technology, build something in that space. If you can take decent photos, explore photography services, the point isn't to chase whatever seems most profitable online. The point is to find something that matches your skills and interests, then invest what it takes to do it properly. The second purchase that can change your life is investing in index funds, specifically through a Roth IRA or similar tax-advantaged account. This is where the magic of compound interest really shows its power, and your 20s are when you have the ultimate unfair advantage. Time. Let me show you some math that might blow your mind. If you invest just $200 per month into an S&P 500 index fund starting at age 22, and that investment grows at the historical average of about 10% annually, you'll have over $1 million by the time you're 67. $200 a month for 45 years equals $1 million. That's less than $7 a day, creating millionaire status. But here's the kicker. If you wait until you're 32 to start that same investment plan, you'll end up with about $700,000 waiting 10 years costs you $300,000 in the long run. This is why your 20s matter so much for building wealth. The beauty of index funds is that they're basically the boring, reliable friend of the investment world. They don't promise to make you rich overnight, and they won't give you exciting stories to tell at parties, but they consistently outperform most actively managed funds. They have low fees, and they spread your risk across hundreds of companies instead of betting everything on individual stocks. And if you do this through a Roth IRA, your gains grow completely tax-free. Every dollar of growth you earn stays in your pocket instead of going to Uncle Sam. It's like having a backup plan that runs quietly in the background while you focus on other things. The key is to automate these contributions so the money gets invested before you even see it in your checking account. If you never see it, you won't spend it. Purchase number 3 is something that might seem frivolous, but can actually be one of the smartest investments you make. Buy a plane ticket. Travel while you're young. But, do it strategically. This isn't about blowing your savings on expensive vacations to look cool on social media. This is about investing in experiences and connections that can change your perspective and open doors you didn't even know existed. Traveling in your 20s builds confidence in ways that nothing else can. When you figure out how to navigate a foreign city, communicate despite language barriers, and solve problems in unfamiliar environments, you develop a kind of self-reliance that serves you for life. You also meet people from different backgrounds and industries who might become valuable connections down the road. The smart way to do this is by maximizing credit card points and rewards programs. Get a travel rewards credit card, use it for your normal expenses, and pay it off in full every single month. Never carry a balance, but collect those points and use them for free or heavily discounted travel. This strategy also helps you build a strong credit score, which becomes incredibly valuable when you're ready to buy a house or invest in real estate. The 4th life-changing purchase is education, but not the kind that puts you $100,000 in debt. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, and any other learning that increases your skills and value in the marketplace. This is honestly one of the most powerful investments you can make because the knowledge you gain compounds for decades. A $20 book can change your entire mindset about money and success. A few $100s spent on a legitimate course can teach you skills that increase your income by thousands. The key word here is legitimate. Avoid those $997 courses from people posing next to rented Lamborghinis. Instead, focus on learning from people who have actually built successful businesses or careers in areas you're interested in. Your brain is most adaptable in your 20s, which means you can learn new skills faster than you'll ever be able to again. Take advantage of that. Whether it's learning to code, understanding digital marketing, developing sales skills, or mastering a trade, every skill you acquire becomes part of your arsenal for the rest of your life. Purchase number 5 is the big one that scares most people in their 20s, but can absolutely transform your financial future. Buy real estate. Now, I know what you're thinking, Nick, I can barely afford ramen noodles, let alone a house. But hear me out. Because there are creative ways to make this work even if you're not rolling in cash. Real estate accelerates wealth building through 3 main mechanisms. First, properties generally appreciate in value over time. Second, if you rent part of the property out, you get income that can help pay the mortgage. Third, you're using leverage, meaning you control a valuable asset with a relatively small down payment, and other people are essentially paying for your investment through rent. If affordability is an issue, consider house hacking. Buy a duplex and live in one unit while renting out the other, or buy a single-family home and rent out rooms to roommates. You could even explore short-term rentals through platforms like Airbnb if your local market supports it. The goal is to let other people pay your mortgage while you build equity and benefit from appreciation. It's not always easy, and it definitely requires more hands-on management than index fund investing, but the wealth-building potential is enormous. The 6th purchase might sound boring, but it's actually one of the most important financial decisions you'll make in your 20s. Buy cheap, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't say buy a car, I said buy transportation. There's a massive difference, and understanding this difference could save you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars over your lifetime. Most people in their 20s think they need a nice car to look successful. They finance $30,000 vehicles they can afford, making payments that eat up a huge chunk of their income for 6 or 7 years. Meanwhile, that same money could be growing in investments, compounding into serious wealth by the time they're 40. Here's the brutal truth about cars. They are not investments. They're depreciating liabilities that cost you money every single month. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses thousands of dollars in value. It's like lighting money on fire, except less fun, and you still have to make payments. Instead, buy a 3 to 5 year old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, or something similarly reliable for $10,000 to $15,000. Pay cash if you can, or finance it for the shortest term possible. These cars will run for 200,000 miles if you maintain them properly, and they're cheap to insure and repair. The money you save by not having a car payment can be invested instead. Let's say you avoid a $500 monthly car payment and invest that money at 8% returns. After 30 years, you'll have over $600,000. That's the real cost of having a car payment in your 20s. Not just the money you pay, but the money you didn't invest. Plus, when you're not stressed about making car payments, you have more freedom to take risks with your career. You can leave a job you hate, start that business, or take a position with growth potential, but lower starting pay. Financial freedom starts with eliminating unnecessary monthly payments, and car payments are usually the biggest unnecessary expense people have. The seventh and final purchase that can change your life is investing in your health. This one gets overlooked constantly because the benefits aren't immediately obvious and the costs of ignoring it don't show up right away. But your health determines everything else. How hard you can work, how long you can pursue your goals, how much energy you have for your side hustle, and whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. I'm not talking about spending thousands on expensive gym memberships or hiring personal trainers, although those might be worth it if you'll actually use them. I'm talking about the basics that most people in their 20s completely ignore because they think they're invincible. Good food instead of living off energy drinks and fast food. Regular sleep instead of pulling all-nighters every week. Some form of exercise that doesn't involve walking from your couch to the refrigerator. Your 20s are when you establish the habits that will either support your goals or sabotage them for the next several decades. If you're constantly exhausted, stressed out, or dealing with health problems that could have been prevented, it doesn't matter how smart your investment strategy is. You won't have the energy or focus to execute it properly. The hidden cost of poor health in your 20s isn't just medical bills, although those can definitely add up. It's the opportunity cost of not being able to work at full capacity, not being able to take advantage of opportunities when they arise, and potentially having to spend your later years dealing with preventable health issues instead of enjoying your wealth. Plus, let's be honest about something. Building wealth requires sustained effort over many years, whether it's managing a side hustle, staying disciplined with your investments, or dealing with the challenges of being a landlord. You need physical and mental energy to make it all work. If you're running on fumes because you've been treating your body like a garbage disposal, you're sabotaging your own success. The smart approach is to think of health investments as performance enhancers for everything else you're trying to accomplish. Better sleep means better decision making, better nutrition means more consistent energy levels, regular exercise means better stress management and mental clarity. These aren't luxuries or nice to haves, they're fundamental requirements for building the kind of life you actually want. Now, here's what ties all 7 of these purchases together. They're all about playing the long game instead of optimizing for short-term gratification. Every single one requires you to think differently than most people your age. While everyone else is focused on looking successful right now, you're focused on actually becoming successful over time. This is where the compound interest concept applies to more than just money. Every good decision you make in your 20s compounds into better outcomes later. Every side hustle skill you develop makes you more valuable in the marketplace. Every dollar you invest grows exponentially over decades. Every relationship you build through travel or education But the opposite is also true. Like, bad financial decisions compound negatively. Credit card debt compounds against you. Car payments prevent you from investing. Neglecting your health creates problems that get more expensive to fix over time. This is why your 20s matter so much. You're not just making decisions about today, you're making decisions about the trajectory of your entire life. The mistake most people make is thinking these 7 purchases are separate decisions when they're actually all connected. Your side hustle success depends on your health and energy levels. Your ability to invest in index funds depends on not having massive car payments at the end of your income. Your travel experiences can lead to business connections that accelerate your side hustle. Your real estate investments can provide the passive income that gives you freedom to take bigger risks with your business ventures. This interconnected approach is what separates people who build serious wealth from those who just stumble from one financial decision to the next without any coherent strategy. When you understand how these purchases work together, you start making decisions that reinforce each other instead of competing for your limited resources. But here's where most people completely mess this up, and it's not what you'd expect. They try to do everything at once. They want to start 3 different side hustles, max out their retirement contributions, book trips to 5 countries, buy a house, and completely overhaul their diet all in the same month. Then they get overwhelmed, abandon everything, and go back to buying stuff that makes them feel successful for about 5 minutes. The smart approach is to prioritize these purchases based on your current situation and build momentum gradually. If you're drowning in credit card debt, focus on the side hustle first to generate extra income. If you're already earning decent money but spending all of it, start with automating your index fund investments and buying reliable transportation instead of financing something flashy. If you're stable financially but stuck in your comfort zone, invest in education and travel to expand your perspective and opportunities. The psychological aspect of this is crucial and something most financial advice completely ignores. Making smart purchases in your 20s requires you to be comfortable being different from your peer group. While your friends are financing new cars and spending everything they earn on experiences designed for Instagram, you're buying boring index funds and driving a 5-year-old Toyota. While they're complaining about being broke, you're quietly building a foundation that will support you for decades. This is where the real test comes in. Can you handle your friends thinking you're cheap or boring? Can you resist the urge to upgrade your lifestyle every time you get a raise? Can you stick with your investment plan when the market drops and everyone around you is panicking? These aren't just financial decisions, they're character-building exercises that determine what kind of person you are. Here's something nobody talks about regarding wealth building in your 20s. The habits you develop now will determine how you handle money for the rest of your life. If you learn to live below your means, automate your investments, and resist lifestyle inflation in your 20s, you'll naturally continue doing those things as your income increases. But if you develop a pattern of spending everything you earn and justifying purchases based on emotions instead of logic, that pattern becomes incredibly difficult to break later. The people who build wealth aren't necessarily smarter or more disciplined than everyone else. They just developed better money habits earlier in life and let compound interest do the heavy lifting. The people who struggle financially often make the same fundamental mistakes over and over again because they never learn to think long-term about their financial decisions. Look, your 20s will pass by whether you make smart financial decisions or not. The only question is whether you'll look back at 30 wondering where all your money went, or you'll be sitting on a foundation that gives you actual choices about how to spend your money. These 7 purchases aren't just about building wealth, they're about building the kind of person who understands that real success isn't about impressing strangers with stuff you can afford. It's about having the freedom to wake up every morning and decide what you want to do with your